Do it right now.
Please do
No,
it
I'm
right
gonna
now.
do it while you're live.
First up in our news, climate change has hit our studio and it's freezing in here.
It's so cold. It's so cold. It's so cold, but not as cold as the Woods Party tonight is going to be. So if you're heading out there, bundle up and maybe just stay home.
Yeah, it's up to you, unless you want to punch and mosh people.
Yeah, mosh pit in the woods. You'll break a sweat, and then you'll be twice as cold walking back because you'll be all wet.
Sounds like it's totally worth it. Now let's get to our real news. What's up, gamers?
This week in gaming news, Blizzard is backpedaling hard.
In response to the online backlash, Blizzard has lowered the ban of Hearthstone player Blitzchung to 6 months, and they're returning his prize money.
While this is a step in the right direction, many people are still unhappy with Blizzard's actions and have started using the character Mei from Overwatch as a symbol of the Hong Kong democracy movement.
In the wake of all this, Overwatch just launched on the Nintendo Switch, but Blizzard had to cancel the launch event at Nintendo's New York location.
Which does not mean things are looking good for BlizzCon coming up on November 1st.
Which is not good for a tech company in these times.
Has it ever been good for a tech company? I guess the early 2000s was real great for tech companies.
Early 2010s. It's been pretty good for tech companies for the past, 2 decades. I mean, 4 decades? 5?
Fuck a tech company.
100 years? So in local news, there will be a Freemason open house tomorrow.
Tomorrow is in October 19th?
Yes, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. This lodge will be opening its doors.
Now, it's my understanding that the Freemasons have called the Pacific Lodge at 99 Main Street in Amherst, Massachusetts, 01002, home for about 107 years now. Is that correct?
Yes, that is. They have been established since 1912, and they are now ready to show off what they got.
My great-aunt was born in 1912. Do they host any other events there?
Yes, from time to time it's used for contra dancing, recitals, and shows.
It's also the year the Titanic sank. So are there any
Coincidence?
big Freemason secrets left to discover?
Well, obviously they're going to hide it, and obviously they're going to be pretty good at it. But, just means we have to look harder.
You don't mean.
Oh, I do mean.
It's finally time for National Treasure 4.
Yes, it is. But we'll save that for tomorrow from 9 to 3 at 99 Main Street in Amherst. I hope everyone else is excited as I am.
I sure am not.
Moving forward to world news, a new Infinity News segment covering international affairs.
Upon the U.S. troops being pulled out of Syria, Turkey's sudden military operation against the Kurdish-led forces,
A U.S. ally.
shocked the White House, most specifically Donald J. Trump.
This resulted in a letter to the Turkish president being sent to Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan by Trump.
A letter that stated, "Don't be a tough guy, don't be a fool," and ended with, "I will call you later."
Sounded like your Christopher Walken impression. Turkey's
Oh, I don't
presidential
do a
sources
Christopher
told
Walken
Infinity
impression.
News that President Erdogan received the letter, thoroughly rejected it, and put it right in the bin.
At this response, Vice President Mike Pence was sent to Ankara to find common ground.
Good luck with that, Pensy.
In other news, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge visit Pakistan to strengthen historical relationship between the two nations.
Of what? Colonization?
The itinerary has been kept fairly confidential for security reasons. The tour, however, began with a meeting with the President Arif Alvi and Prime Minister Imran Khan.
And I believe we have a little video of that to play.
Play the video.
The tour, as of today, consisted of visiting hospitals, Pakistan Monument, schools, villages, and meeting with the national cricket team.
God, I love cricket. Absolute favorite sport. Here are a few highlights from the tour.
Being here in Pakistan this week, William and I have seen on several occasions how family is at the heart of your culture. Parents, children, aunts, uncles, grandparents all play important roles. You have reminded us exactly what family means. You have shown us too that it's not simply a term that describes the relationship between blood relatives. Instead, it describes those special bonds we share with all those who make us feel safe and supported. It is the quality of those relationships that matter. So now, on to the most important part. Aman, Ibrahim and Danielle, Aap sabko, Sagriya, Boho Boho, Mad Barako. Thank you.
We'll ask. They're beautiful. Lovely. Yeah. And these two. Apparently it has the black. That's the black. Sorry, we were just going to ask the lady. Could you just ask her, does she make all these herself?
Yes.
She does make these. Could you just ask her?
She makes some bags, bags and jewelry, all this provisions. These materials and handicraft, they're put here for sale. She sells and then distributes.
People coming up here who...
Yes,
Good.
Of tourists, they
The
come
tourists.
here.
This time of the year?
yes. Or not December.
When will the snow come? In
Yeah,
the
when
next-
the snow comes, the road is cut off.
And in
You
November,
know,
is it?
Yeah.
it depends
There's
on the weather.
Right.
Yes.
When the weather becomes too cold
Cold.
and
Yeah.
rain continues starts, then mid.
That was it?
And that's it for world news.
Now to Waylon with the first installment of the Saga Saga!
Over to you.
Easy with that. Hello, and welcome to the Saga Saga, where we talk about keeping everybody fed. Gotta have some meat on these bones, you know. At least that's what my family always tells me. As you may well know, the dining commons staff used to be employed through Bon Appetit, even though we always called them Saga, which dates back to the 80s. That just shows you we like to have a little bit of fun with our food culture here. It was not fun, however, when last March all of the Bon Appetit workers had their contracts ended. At least that's when the school found out. By email. So sad. About 7 of them have returned this year to join Hampshire's new food service program that is self-run and actually is run by the former director. I'm losing it here. I'm not prepared for a live broadcast. I thought I was, but I'm not.
Do you want to start a sentence before and I'll just cut it out in the YouTube edit?
Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you. One sec. Seven of the former Bon Appetit employees have returned to Hampshire to work with our new food service program that consists of about 20 to 25 workers, serving food at the Dining Commons or Saga, at the Bridge Cafe, and at the Kern Cafe. The Kern and the Dining Commons both have shorter hours. The Kern now closes at 2 p.m. on weekdays, and the Dining Commons only serves dinner on weekdays and brunch on the weekends. Now there's a lot of room to fill in to make sure that everybody gets fed. My question is, how are we filling in that room? And I think the answer is bridge money, honey. So we will make a continuous segment out of this to investigate and find out if we really have a sustainable chunk at the core of our food service at Hampshire. Thank you. Now to Caroline with the music.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Infinity New Music Fridays. I'm Caroline, and let us dive right into it. There's a lot to cover. Just last week, Big Thief released their 4th album since they were signed in 2016, and actually their 2nd album this year, and actually in this last 6 months, which is pretty crazy and pretty amazing that the human brain can produce that much brilliance in such an expedited amount of time. This new album is called Two Hands, and the tracks I would say to look out for are Forgotten Eyes and the closing track, Cut My Hair. Very lyric-centric stuff. It's the kind of music you really want to pay attention to. Girl in Red's 2nd EP, Chapter 2, came out about a month ago. It was a beautiful follow-up to Chapter 1. I just got around to listening to it, and I'm very pleased. You may know her from her tracks I Want to Be Your Girlfriend or We Fell in Love in October. And this new EP is very much in the same vein. She's only 20, which is pretty wild, but it just means we get to watch her evolve in real time, which I think is pretty dope. Also last month was Hobo Johnson's 2nd full-length LP, The Fall of Hobo Johnson. I understand he's an acquired taste, but I dig him. I sense a little more production on this album, which makes complete sense because of his success, but I like the ones where the lines between spoken word poetry and singing sort of blur. So February 15th is that one on that album. Caroline Polachek released her first full-length album under her own name at the age of 34, which is kind of dope and unfortunately kind of a revolutionary thing. The album, titled Paying, is very experimental pop, and I think it's dope if you can make smart lyrics that are also catchy. And the single, So Hot You're Hurting My Feelings, is the perfect example of that. And finally, an artist to watch is Caro. She's released 4 singles, so I'm assuming an EP or an LP is coming. I honestly can't find that much information about her, but like Caroline Polachek, she's got that very pop but clever vibe. And Just One Night is that way, so check that out. Thank you guys very much for watching, and we will see you next week.
Bye. God, I'm sorry.